Let's turn to James chapter number 4. James chapter number 4. Like I said, y'all pray for me tonight. If you would. Got news today about my grandfather passing away, and that's not was unexpected. We were pretty close. He was my last grandfather, my last grandparent, and I was just thanking the Lord about knowing His salvation. But y'all just going to bear with me tonight if you can. I was thinking about how the Lord, how my grandfather had a testimony of salvation. Brother Bobby, you know, a lot of us have we say we're saved. You know, a lot of folks nowadays, you ask anybody, you go knock on any door right now, they're going to tell you they're saved. You know, you invite somebody to church, and they're gonna tell you they're saved. Somehow, some way, they're gonna tell you that either they've been baptized or they grew up going to grandma's church and the preacher told them they were saved or whatever. But I'm glad that in my grandpa's life, we saw the testimony of salvation. Not just his you know, his claim of salvation, but his testimony of salvation. He will be missed in my family, and I know that I'll miss him. There's a lot of areas of my life that I learned a lot of things from that man. You know, they don't make them like they used to anymore. He was one of those. I mean, he was a coal miner in West Virginia. That's all he ever did, and work on junk cars. And taught me how to change oil, taught me how to change a flat tire, and he was a good man, and I'm going to miss him. And I tried to get out of preaching tonight just because of that. You know, I'm an emotional wreck, but the Lord had other plans, I guess. James chapter number 4 and verse number 13. The Bible says, "Go to now, ye that say today or tomorrow we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. For they ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or do that. But now ye rejoice in your boastings, all such rejoicing is evil. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin." Of course, I thought of these verses today. I thought about my grandfather. I was thinking as a kid, man, how when you're a little kid, we were just talking about this before church. You know how when you're a little kid, 60 or 70 seems like ancient. It just seems old. Some of y'all older folks are like, take it easy now. Brother Todd asked me how old my grandpa was. I said he's in his early 70s. He said, man, that's young. And it is. And I thought, when he said that, I remember being a kid and hearing somebody say, well, he's 70 years old. I'm thinking, man, why is he probably knew George Washington or something. You know what I'm talking about as a kid? How, man, 70 years seems like an eternity. But here I stand at 27, and my grandfather's gone, Brother Andy, and you think about, man, it just wasn't enough time on this earth. You know, you think 70 years should have been longer. 27 years with him should have been longer. And the Bible tells us right here, plain as day, Brother Mike, that life is just a little bit of time. It's a short span. If you've ever stood in front of a stove or over a fire and, man, you see a vapor, you see a puff of smoke go up, as soon as you see it, it's gone. And it seems like, Brother Bobby, being a kid, watching my granddad work on them old cars, seems like it was yesterday. Seems like it was just yesterday. Brother Jim, when I was watching him build a fire in his garage so he could work on cars, make saddles. He used to make saddles and horse blankets, and man, he was into everything. He reminded me of Brother Joe. If he wasn't working on a car, he was making a saddle for a horse. If he wasn't doing that, he was building a house. I mean, he was just one of those guys. I thought it was cool, Brother Joe. He could drive a nail with one hit. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world when I was a kid. But the Bible tells us that enjoy it because it's only here for a little time. And then it vanishes away. You know, a lot of times in our life, do we not get caught up on the little bitty things in life? The bills or whatever. We get mad at our spouse for nothing. Don't we? We get mad at our kids for the littlest things. We act like it's the end of the world, but the Bible tells us right here to enjoy those little times. He says, go not now, ye that say today or tomorrow, you're going to do this or do that or buy or sell. He's telling us not to even make plans for the future because we might turn around in just a minute and it'll be over with. You know, I know this is probably not what you got dressed and came to church for tonight on Wednesday night, but if we could just understand that when we leave here tonight, maybe tomorrow or on the way home, maybe those little things that we used to do, maybe you ought to start doing them again because you might not get a chance to do it tomorrow. Maybe there's something small that you used to do with your kids that you don't do anymore. Maybe they got too big or you forgot about it, or maybe it's just that time and technology and everything else gets in the way. Maybe tonight when you go home, maybe you ought to think about trying it again. I think James knew a lot about what he was saying right here. Not only did God give him the inspiration to write it down, but I believe he knew what he's talking about. When he said, take not, he said, whereas you know that what time shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. We ought to say, if the Lord will, we're going to do this or that. You know, sometimes in life, it's okay to just stop, slow down, and take in what's going on. I know it seems almost something like a hippie would say or something, doesn't it? You know, tree huggers and all that. It seems like something almost one of them would say, but you know what? It's the truth. It's the truth, because today at 4 o'clock, standing in Brother Todd's shop, the last thing I expected was a phone call telling me that my grandfather was gone. Brother Jim, that's the last. I'm standing there trying to fix a spark plug, and my mom calls and says, your grandfather's gone. Had a stroke. And then it seems like I remember as a kid, he'd wake me up, it seemed like 4 o'clock in the morning. And he put on, he always used to wear these coveralls, not bibbed overalls, but coveralls. Them blue, you know what I'm talking about? Every day, that's what he had on. But he always had a set for me, Brother Joe. He always had another pair for me. And before he woke me up, Brother Andy, he'd put them by the fire, make sure they was warm. He'd wake me up in the morning, he'd put them on me, take me down to the shop, and we'd be there all day. I remember seeing him eating a sandwich, Brother Andy, with grease on his hands. Eating a bologna sandwich with grease all over the bread. I'm like, man, what? Like, that's gross, Papa. He'd say it put hair on the chest. So what did I do? Stuck my hand in that motor, grabbed anything I could find that had grease on it, and made me a sandwich. This is no joke. You ask my wife. He's 70-something years old. More flexible than any person I know. He could squat down on the floor and his rear end be touching the ground. He's just skin and bones, but he lived his life in the coal mines, and that's just how he worked his whole life. But listen to me, this is what I'm trying to say. Last week we heard of Miss Pennington, my grandfather today. Who knows what tomorrow? He's telling us to slow down just a little bit. Enjoy the days that you have together. Enjoy the fun times. Enjoy the bad times you have together. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. But really, we got to remember the past and who we were and where you are now and where you're going. We got to rejoice in today. Share your salvation with somebody. Share your joy. Search for hurting people. We got to live now. We got to live for today. He said, don't make no big plans for tomorrow. Now, he didn't say don't be ready for tomorrow. Don't make no big plans because tomorrow might not be here. And with that being said, I take that to tell me to make every moment count in today that I possibly can. If I'm saved, somebody ought to know that I'm saved today. I ought to be able to tell somebody, listen, I'm born again. I'm on my way to heaven. Listen, I've got joy unspeakable and full of glory because I know that I might not be here tomorrow. And if I'm not here tomorrow, I'm going to be with the Lord because my Bible tells me to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Hey, I'm here to tell you I've got joy. I'm excited about the fact that I know that I'm saved. Today, I know that I'm saved. Rejoice in today. You got to be ready. You got to ready yourself for tomorrow. Remember who holds tomorrow. Remember He's in control. And release your will to Him. But most importantly tonight is knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt that if your vapor was gone tonight, if you was to die right now, if you'd be in heaven or hell. I know we just church folks in here tonight. But man, you think about the reality of the fact that in just a second, a split second, you can be gone from this world. There is no respecter of age, race, popularity, financial status. It don't matter. You can be gone tomorrow. You can be gone tonight. We brought a mother into the jail just the other night who was driving home drunk, killed her 12-year-old son. 12 years old. You think that boy was ready to die? Absolutely not. You think he knew it was coming? Absolutely not. Riding home from a Christmas party in the backseat of his mom's car, she ran a red light, and he's in eternity. We can only hope that somebody shared the gospel with him. Life is but a vapor. It's here for a little while, and then it's gone. There's story after story of folks that's got cancer and incurable diseases and 2-year-old babies with cancer. We just don't know, Brother Bobby. We don't have a clue. But we think we do. And you think, Brother Ed, you think when he wrote this down, you think he's talking common sense. I mean, obviously we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow, but he still had to write it down because we forget. He still had to put it in there because why? Because he knew that there was going to be a generation of people that doesn't look past right here and don't look past a television set or computer screen. All we see is what's going on. We're making big plans for the future, and you got 15-year-old kids planning exactly where they're going to go to college, what year they're going to get married, how long they're going to listen. And we're making all these big plans, but he said, hold on a second before you make all these plans. Understand that you might not be here tomorrow. Yeah. Understand that there's a chance that before the night comes tonight, you may not be here. Know that you're saved. Know that you're born again. Know that you're on your way to heaven. Know that if you laid your head on your pillow tonight and you did not wake up in the morning, you better know that, hey, if Jesus was to come back or if something was to happen to you, that you'd be in heaven. That's the most important thing. Amen. Yeah. That is the most important thing that we can know on this planet. He said, don't make any plans for tomorrow because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. But I do know one thing in this life, Brother Ed. Everything else might fall apart, Brother Jim. We might lose family. We might lose friends. We might lose it all. But there's one thing in this life that I know for sure. That's how I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm on my way to heaven one of these days. I know that at 16 years old, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And I know that He came on the inside of me, forgave me, and cleansed me of my sins. And that I'm going to heaven one day. That's the only thing that we can know, that we can be sure of. Amen. And I know it for sure. There's no doubt in my mind, Brother Ed. I've failed Him. I've let it down. I've dropped the ball. I've been ashamed of myself as a preacher. I've been ashamed of myself as a husband. I've been ashamed of myself as a father. But I do know that I'm saved. I do know that one thing. I know that I'm born again. I'm on my way to heaven. Bless His name. We don't know what tomorrow's got for us. I know I didn't preach very long tonight, but I believe I said what needed to be said. Kel, won't you come? I do want to give an invitation tonight.